back to the powerhouses of the global corporate stage. And I am just honored to have this amazing person on here. You all may have heard her voice, but haven't been able to see her beautiful face yet because she allowed me the honor of being on her radio show. So when I tell you all, she is a powerhouse. She truly is a powerhouse. She is someone who is dynamic, effective, and unstoppable in achieving success. Welcome to the powerhouses of the global corporate stage. Coach Erica, how are you doing today?
I am doing wonderful, and I'm so happy to be here. How you doing today?
I am doing amazing because you really did help me. Y'all, she helped me, my entire team, and everybody who I know. I'm like, what's your word for 2025? If y'all missed out on that, y'all gotta go and check out that episode where we put that on live for y'all to be able to see. But I am truly doing this so well. I just want to thank you so much. And I did some research, and before we get to that, about like how do I stay motivated as a social worker? Could you give people the dynamics? When I say that she's a powerhouse, like, could you let people know what you're doing, y'all? I don't want to steal her thunder, but she's an author, a radio host, a mother. She is just all the things, y'all. And most of all, she is beautiful.
Thank you. So, yes, like Miss Lovely said, I wear a lot of hats on a day-to-day basis. By career wise, I am actually a licensed advanced practice social worker. Entrepreneur rise, I do have a business. I'm a real estate investor, Odom Investments and Property Management, where I'm also a coach through my business. I'm also a radio personality, like she said, on Hitting Hard Radio on the Journey with Coach Erica every Friday, where we talk about mindset, money, and real estate. And I am also an author. I have two published books. Both of my books are catered about basically educational based financial literacy, home buying process. So yes, in addition to being an aunt, all the things. So yes.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And thank you so much for that. And you said that one of your careers by trade is being a social worker. And I did some research, and the work that social workers do is so incredible. But one of the things that is a struggle right now, I don't know if it's the end of the year, they're like, hey, I had these goals and it didn't happen, or if it's just the times with the school shootings, and it just seems like it's just a lot of things going on. People are finding it hard to stay motivated as a social worker. So before we get to answer that question, how did your career like even start? Like, what I ask people is like, what was it that you dreamed about doing as a kid versus what you ended up doing, outside of being a media personality, all that? Because I feel like that's a career within itself. Like, what did you dream about as a kid to like ended up doing these amazing things?
So that's I just chuckle off that question because as I go through my own personal journey, what I'm learning is that we have a plan, right, that we see, and sometimes it doesn't go as planned, and sometimes things kind of just like fall into our lap and happen. So a lot of things, just being honest, I never had plans on being a radio personality. It just kind of happened. But I'm loving it. It's great. It's a great opportunity. Same with publishing a book. The publishing of the book kind of came to me during the COVID time, because I was coaching people and doing workshops on financial literacy and home buying. So then when COVID happened and we couldn't meet in person anymore, I started thinking about, well, how do I still reach people and still be effective? And so that's honestly how the book started to get developed during that time. So it's just so many different things. When I was a kid, I actually always aspired to be a teacher. So, which I did have the opportunity to teach. Up until just this past semester, I was actually an instructor, an adjunct instructor for social workers. Uh, so I have taught at the
Hey,
college
y'all, when I
as a
said she
social
was a
worker.
powerhouse, I didn't know that she what?
Yes, so I can speak to it from the professor side as well as the student side. I realized like getting post high school that I wanted to get into social work. So that was kind of like the direction I went. But honestly, as a kid, I always wanted to be a teacher. So which I am a teacher with all the things that I do, but that was honestly what I initially aspired to be.
Wow, that is so amazing. Thank you so much for that. I didn't know that you were a professor too. That is
Yeah.
so cool to teach something that you love, that you've been able to enjoy it and has had such a profound impact on your life. So, with everything, the many hats that you wear, how do you stay motivated as a social worker? How do you align, like you said, those pivots? Because as a social worker, there's many things that you're having to juggle and then
Absolutely.
having to navigate those challenges. So could you help those who might be like, look, I'm at my wits end. I don't know. I might turn in my resignation tomorrow. It's a new year and start anew. Like, how do you help them? How can
Yeah.
you help them with going through it with your own career?
That's a great question. So I would say this, what I always used to tell my students when I was teaching at the college is what I've learned about being a social worker is number one, you have to get the feel for the career, right? But you also have to get a feel of what's for you and what's not for you. Because we hear the title social work, and I feel like the common go-to is, oh, you're the lady that shows up and takes people's children away. Well, that's not absolutely true. Is there a realm of social work where that may be the case? Absolutely. I've actually worked in that realm before, but social work has so much variety to it. And I think
It
it's important
does.
that you know what population. So, working with children and families may be your thing, and maybe working with geriatric patients is not your thing. So it's important to get a feel, if you can, a little bit of everything to determine like what really works for you, because it's important not only that you enjoy what you do, because we are the difference makers, right? So we have to enjoy what we do so we can be effective in the way that we need to be.
Yes, 100%. And another piece, so my background is in healthcare and I worked for Cigna, and we use social workers as a way to help patients transition home. So
Yes.
there were social workers who literally their job was to make sure that they had the DME equipment, that they had somebody at home to get the oxygen, and that the sister would be there to take them to their medications and things. So you are so right. It's so many different avenues of a social worker. There's social workers when I had my baby who made
Mhm.
sure that I had my lactation appointment and all of that. So I
Yes.
love that avenue of even asking the question of like, what type of social worker do I want to get into?
Correct. And just I'm just laughing because I'm like, I don't think you know this, but I'm actually a medical social worker as well. So when we talk about those different realms, right, of knowing what we want to do and what works for us. So exactly to your point, everything that you just mentioned, I can take it a little step deeper, right? If you're a medical social worker, but that looks totally different if you're the social worker that is in the emergency room versus the social worker in what we call inpatient hospital side. So I am what we call dually trained. So the hospital that I work at, I work on both the ER, the emergency room side, as well as the inpatient side. And I can speak to just in those two roles alone, completely different. And people always say, well, how do you work in the emergency room? And I tell people flat out, it's not for everybody. It's no in between. It's kind of one of those things you either adjust and it's for you, or it's not for you. So, and that kind of speaks to what I'm saying. You got to know what works for you. Social work, there's medical social worker, there's a school social worker, there's the social worker that works with children and families, there's the public health social worker, and the list goes on and on. But what works for you and what population works for you?
I love that. It's all about what works for you, what are things that you, and it seems like you've done several pivots. Like
I
you went
have.
here, you went there. How did you know when it was time to switch? Like, is there a career assessment that you can do? Was it your network that you were able to reach out to and say, like, hey, I'm not feeling this anymore. I want to go here. Like, how can somebody who now is like, okay, I hear that there's different types of social worker, but how
Right.
do I do that transformation?
So honestly, lovely, I think it comes with time and experience. Like we all honestly have to start somewhere. And I can think of early in my career, I've been a social worker for over 10 years. And I can remember vividly early in my career doing more what we call community-based social work. So that's where you're more out in the field, you're going to people's homes, you're working with them inside their homes, you're running all over town, all the things. I can remember that. But as you grow and you develop and you get more experience, you kind of you keep advancing is the word I would like to use. And that's how you grow within social work. That's how you become a better social worker, and you learn the things that you need to learn so you can be effective in working with the people and the populations that you're working with. But you also just through your own personal journey, um, I would like to say you kind of lead your way to where you're going. And me personally, it was important to me because I always, again, aspired to be a teacher. And so when the opportunity came to me, that was in 2019 when I began as an adjunct professor. When that opportunity came to me, and I was just so thankful for the fact that I have had so much experience in social work, because I strongly believe that what better way than to have a future social work student, but have the opportunity to have a professor, not only who's going to give you that
Wow.
educational piece from the book,
Yeah.
important, but I strongly believe it's more important about the real life experience, because when you get out there, the book is one piece of the puzzle, but you got to know, like,
Woo!
when that
Yeah.
irate potentially client that you're working with is cussing you out
It,
and
it's not it's not in the book. There's no textbook. There's
it's
no
not in the
textbook.
book, okay? Let me tell you, or they're having a whole crisis or a breakdown, you can't turn to the book. You have to know how to respond. You have to know how to adjust, adapt, how to keep your composure. So I just believe that it's important. And I was happy during the time that I was teaching to be able to give those experiences and challenge my students that I was working with at the time on those different levels and scenarios, because they will happen. Any social worker will tell you, you run into a lot of things in this field, regardless of what area you go into, whether it's children and families versus school social work.
Yes. One. Woo, you so just for you all who are tuning in, we have a corporate inspiration, but definitely a powerhouse here who just shared an amazing journey. And when you said that, it really like struck a chord because I went through nursing school and I remember they were talking about grief and loss, like, oh, you have grief and loss. And when those babies, like, it's different when you are like at the level, you're like, when you're dealing with geriatric, you expect that. But everybody's like, oh, I want to work in the neonatal because it'll be with babies. Like,
Mhm.
but nobody realized that the neonatal intensive unit, it's the ICU for babies. And
Yes,
these babies have these tiny needles. And I remember the loss, I'm like, "Oh my god," and I will,
right,
like, still cry years later, and people are like, "You're still sad." I'm like, "You don't realize that it's still that moment. I'm still that person. It's still that patient, that
right.
memory that you have to deal with," and I think there was no better answer than, "You will not have a textbook here to help you with that when it comes to that time." Like, you just won't
You
have a
won't.
textbook with you.
Absolutely. And then just to take it another layer to it, in any profession, it's important that we take care of ourselves. I'm a huge advocate for self-care and taking out time for self. And as to go along with that motivation piece, I believe it's important that throughout your career, you're taking care of you, because as a social worker, again, regardless of what area of social work you're working in, you come in contact with a lot of things, a lot of hard situations, a lot of hard conversations that you're faced with sometimes on a day-to-day basis. And just, there's a thing called burnout. There's a thing called compassion fatigue. Those things are real. And you have to know how to set your boundaries, set your limits. You have to know how to be able to reflect and know, like, okay, I'm no good for myself right now. These are the things that I need to do to reset and regroup myself. Because I always say, if you're not a better version of you, how can you be the better version for someone else? So I think that goes hand in hand with keeping that motivation.
Absolutely.
Because if you're burnt out and you are just stressed and overwhelmed with the work, you will become
Mhm.
easily unmotivated.
Yeah. Yes. Wow, wow, that I had never heard of compassion fatigue, but I do feel like that a lot of times, you have people in their ER nurses
Mhm.
and their various ones, and they're like, "Oh, you're not in pain." It's like, no, that last person might have lied to you, but I really am in pain. Like, don't think that because this person is trying to get over on you that I'm that same. So that is incredible
Mhm.
knowledge. So, what is it that you most enjoy about being in your role? Not just even as a social worker, but like, what is one of the things that you like most enjoy? I know that you said being a radio personality. That's a big
Yes.
one. Like, what do you most enjoy about doing your day to day things? Like, what do you most enjoy?
I just honestly, I use all of my opportunities to be inspiration. I love and I am so fulfilled when I can be an inspiration to someone, right? I feel like we all as a people, we want to be effective, and sometimes we don't always hear, like, you know what, you really helped me, or that was really great, or I really needed to hear this. But also just knowing that, you know what, I might not necessarily heard that today, but I know that I gave out a lot of positivity today. I know that I gave out a lot of energy, and I know that I was effective today, in the hope that through what you do in your work, whether that's your professional life, your personal life, you made an impact. So when I have the opportunities to go out, and for example, with my radio show, and be able to talk to the world about different topics, and bring special people onto the show to talk about their experiences, even my interactions, just in my social work career, being able to help and assist those individuals. Sometimes maybe they just need that little bit of encouragement, whatever that looks like. Or through the book, I'm not physically there, but maybe this book or this particular chapter in the book hit a spark or something in someone that they really needed, that's going to help drive them to that next level, or maybe take them out of that feeling of unmotivation, and maybe spark a sense of like regroup, or like, hey, I got this, I got to keep moving.
Right, exactly. That is so powerful. And that really drives it home for one of our next questions that we always ask our guests as we talk about staying motivated, as we talk about ensuring that what inspires you, what are things that you really enjoy. What is a quote that keeps you motivated? Like, what's one of your favorite quotes
Oh,
that you
I
want
have
to share that
many, but my favorite quote is Nelson Mandela: "A winner is a dreamer that never gives up." I live by that quote. That is my favorite
say that
quote.
one say that one more
A winner is a dreamer that never gives up. Nelson Mandela. I live by that quote because it speaks to everything that I put out in my personal life, in my career life, in my business life. And I talk about this all the time with failure. Failure is when you give up. That when you give up. Winners can fail, make a ton of mistakes, but the key is to keep going. The key is the persistence. The key is not to give up. That's what makes you a winner. You got to keep going. You can't give up. even when it doesn't go the way we wanted it to go or go as planned, or maybe we didn't accomplish all the goals we wanted this year in our career. That's okay. But how do you reflect and reassess and figure out what are you going to do to make you the best version in your professional career for the upcoming year? Or are you really going to go ahead and push that go button on like pursuing that career that you want? So you just have to keep going.
Yes, yes. And I will say mine, for right now in this moment is don't look back. You're not going that way. And I don't
Yeah.
know who wrote that. It's so many different sources, but whoever wrote don't look back, you're not going that way. I think that that has been so powerful and timely, especially I feel like in times where it's like, how do I stay motivated? Not just as a social worker, but just period. How do I stay motivated when I feel like giving up? So then we always think of that time when it was like,
Mhm.
oh, but if I would have just did here, then it was fine. And so I have to remind myself, like, don't look back. You're not going that way. Like it
Yeah.
might have seemed like it was good over there, but it wasn't. When you were over there, it was miserable. The people was crazy, all of that. So I love that. A winner is a dreamer who never gave up and don't look back. You're not
Yes.
going that way. That's the best way to become a
Right.
winner because you're not looking back. You're not going that way. Let's not look
Right.
back.
Right. Or as they always say, if you think about your car, right? Your front windshield is huge, right? Because you need to see going forward all the things, right? But the rear view mirror is small, and that's because you're not supposed to look back.
Yes, yes, you are not supposed to look back. The only reason why you're looking back is to see how far you have come. That's the only
Yeah.
reason why you need to be looking
There
back.
you go.
Love that. I thank you for that Nelson Mandela one. So I'm gonna have to add that to all of my list of quotes to help me when I feel motivated and then just as a way to like share with others. So what we ask on the powerhouses of the global corporate stage is we always ask our previous guests to
Okay.
ask our next guest the question because we just like to spice it up. People ask the same question, so we like to throw one in there that you may not be expecting. So the question from our last guest was, what is the most helpful quality or what is the best quality that you feel the most successful people have? So what is one quality that you feel the most successful people have?
The most successful people, one quality that they have, I would have to say one of the qualities is being open to perspective. It's so many things that come our way, right? And it's so easy to go narrow vision, but you have to be open to perspective. You have to be open to other people's perspective, not just your perspective, because I always like to tie in that word collaboration. It helps the whole entire, you need that whole piece, not just this narrow piece. So having that open perspective in addition to that collaboration is definitely going to assist you in achieving your success.
Yes, I love that. When I heard the question, I was like, I feel like discipline.
Yeah.
Discipline is one thing that I feel the most successful people have. And Erica and all of you all who are corporate inspiration, I know y'all have discipline, but when
Yes.
I tell y'all, there has not been a time where I have not turned on my phone when I get on social media and I'm about to post, I am seeing something that she's doing. I'm seeing her on her book tour. I'm seeing her being honored. And we see the work, but we don't see the discipline. It took discipline for me to say, okay, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to do this podcast. I'm going to pick who the hosts are. I'm going to ask these various questions of these people. I was researching her. I was like, hey, I researched your background. It took discipline to
Mhm.
even know things about her. And I'm like, how do you want this to be done? I want to make sure I get you right with everything.
Right.
That's discipline. I could have been, off lollygagging and having brunch with the girls, but I'm like, no, at this time, I'm going to sit down, have a conversation with this powerhouse, and then help other people who are social workers, especially in the US. There's so much that so many people can do. And if you all are feeling as if you're not a winner, if you're feeling like right now you're not a corporate inspiration, please reach out to Coach Erica. She can help you in pivoting that, in helping to understand as a teacher, as a coach, as doing the profession herself. And if you want to add another zero to your bank account and figure out how to do things on LinkedIn, definitely reach out to Lovely Marshall, the accelerator for Powerhouses. But I hope that that helps in this day to day that we all have. How do I reach my goals? How do I get there? How do I move forward? Those are things that we all need to have. And so I'm so honored that I had a chance to get you on here. But before we get you to leave, I'm throwing this out here. So y'all have to check out the full podcast. But this woman literally blew my mind. So I was on the radio and I was talking, and she was like, yes, my word for 2025 is X. Well, how did that go? And I believe this all ties into how do I stay motivated? Remember, we started this. How do you stay motivated? It happens with the word. A lot of people do vision boards, but she said a word. So could you
You want
break
me
it
to tell
down
them about
for us?
the
Coach
word?
Erica?
Yes, I would be delighted to. So I encourage everyone in the word. Yes, we need goals. Yes, we need vision boards. I'm all for all of those things, and I have those things personally, but we all need to have what I like to call your journey word. Your journey word is one word that you should be able to tell someone, and that describes your mission, your focus, however you want to put it, for the upcoming year. So, for example, my journey word for 2025 is multiply, because I strongly believe that everything in my life is going to multiply. Everything around me is going to multiply. Every sector of my life, professional, entrepreneur life, everything is going to multiply. And all the individuals connected to me, they're going to multiply as well because we're connected. So I need everybody to learn that journey word, really think about what maybe didn't work, what did work, whatever that focus is for you for 2025. You need to put that word bold somewhere where you can see it, put it in your phone, and just go with it.
Yes. Oh my God. See, I told y'all it was worth it. It was worth her doing this. That's why you got to stay to the end. Stay to the end of the podcast. I this that one that one just word, and just hearing her say that has fueled me, and that was over 6 weeks ago. So now I'm asking everybody, what's your journey word? What's your journey word? And they're like, I never thought about it. I'm like, listen to this, shameless plug, listen to this, and y'all will hear her passion from it. But you stating that, it really helped me to focus, and I was like, what is my journey word? And I want mine to be guaranteed. I
Yes,
have had some things that people will say, "Oh, lovely, I got it," but it was never guaranteed. I want things that are guaranteed. And
yes,
then the Bible, the Bible will always have a word for you. The
yes,
Bible had the word for me with it. It said Deuteronomy 28:8 that you do, God will guarantee a blessing.
yes,
Guaranteed. It
yes,
doesn't matter. Like, it's guaranteed. And I needed that, especially in this season. Like, if I want some guaranteed podcaster, I need the
yes.
guaranteed LinkedIn contract. LinkedIn, call me. I need the guaranteed podcast guests, not the flaky ones. I want things guaranteed. And
Yes.
so I really just salute you for who you are in the community, your vision, you being a corporate inspiration. You truly are powering these global corporate stages because you're helping people get better, you're helping families, but most of all, you helped me. And I just wanted to
Thank
tell you,
you.
thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
You are very welcome, and thank you.
Yes, yes. So tell everybody, how can they reach this powerhouse, Coach Odom?
Yes, so you can reach me through our website, odomhomes.com, or you can also reach me on Instagram as well as Facebook. If you type in Odom Investments and Property Management, we will pop up our logo that you see behind me. will pop up on the screen, and that's how you know that is us. Or you can follow me on Facebook. Erica Odom on Facebook. You can follow me there.
Yes, yes. And you all will be inspired. You will be empowered. I am Lovely Marshall, the host of Powerhouses of the Global Corporate Stage podcast. You all can connect with me at I am Lovely Marshall on everything from Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, with WhatsApp, like YouTube, we are there. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Coach Odom. Yes, she is awesome. Everything that she does is powerful because you all are connected and listening in. Your things are going to be multiplied, and not only are they going to multiply, it's going to be guaranteed for
Yes.
you all. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Tune in for the next time on our podcast as we welcome other